I already own a KICKER subwoofer, but I want to make it fit into my vehicle. They call the phone, what happens? They dial 405-624-8510, that's the actual number, or 800-256-0808. They call, they're going to actually get a human being at the front desk. They're going to tell them what they need. They're going to.
So they'll hit the receptionist and then ask for tech support and get to us. I'm one of 5, so me, Anthony, Brett, Travis, or Jacob, and it's, hey, this is what I want. This is so try to find out vehicle, find airspace available.
Sure.
Figure out what kind of music they listen to, what they're looking for, what they expect out of the woofer that they just bought. And then we could go into box design.
What's interesting about that, you're asking the right questions, because someone who listens to a different style of music or they want a different intensity, it's going to totally change a box recommendation that you probably make.
Yep. Yeah, so typically for like classic rock and everything, we usually just recommend a sealed box.
Okay.
With your tight, punchy response, good response down into the low end. But typically for like rap and R&B and everything, we typically recommend a ported box because they want it to be loud. They want to be heard coming down the street.
Sure. You guys also use Term Pro, is that correct?
Yeah, Term Pro, yeah.
Easier?
Much easier to use.
Much easier to use?
Yeah, very user-friendly. You can get a box design done on the phone within 5 minutes.
Okay. If you're a customer, you call into KICKER, you've already got a KICKER woofer and you're trying to fit it into your vehicle however you need, and you're going to build your own box, or if it's a dealer looking to build the box, these guys will ask the right questions, guide them, figure out what the airspace is, and try to get a box designed into that using either the FindBox or the Term Pro software.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a customer. I have nothing in my car currently. I'm shopping. I call the number. What's going to happen in that process? I'm just trying to figure out what to buy or what I want.
Yeah, well, it really just ask them what they're looking for, trying to find out, what they expect from a subwoofer system or a full system, if that's what they're into, or if that's what they're looking for.
Sure.
So that comes down to, at that point we need to know the vehicle so we can figure out what speakers they need, and then amplifier, obviously wire, all the accessories they need for hooking that system up. Or components.
Let's just create something make-believe here. I'm Joe, customer. I just called up and I've got a, what woofer do you want?
Really, I like L7s.
Oh, I got an L7. Okay, so let's go with an L7. So let's do an actual box design here on Term Pro so you can kind of get an idea. And you guys do this every day on the phone for customers.
Oh yeah, and we can get at least a rough idea of what we need.
Okay.
It knocked out fairly quickly, and we have a lot of people that want to call in for SPL and want to do bandpass, or they want it for a side-by-side and they want bandpass enclosure, and because that works really well outdoors. So we'll just go ahead and do 2, and we can do just a simple 1-to-1. So 2.5.
This looks pretty easy to use.
Yeah, it works pretty quick, and then we can, everything's adjustable on the fly.
So after you've gone ahead and you've set your outside chamber volume, so that's your sealed side in this.
And then common ported chamber.
Common ported chamber, so that's what you're dealing with here. And then this obviously is the response graph over here to the right-hand side.
Correct, yeah. And so it shows our, our 4th order bandpass. We've got peaks on both sides. And then over here it shows our frequency response for full bandwidth. So 36, 38?
36 is the F3 on the high pass.
Yeah, up to 86, centered at 50.
So 36 to 86, centered at 50. And then you can manipulate this. So obviously with this kind of box volume, if this doesn't work for the customer at all, you could either try to make the same drivers work in that airspace, or you might end up actually saying we need to make different driver recommendations.
Yeah, we can always end up going with smaller woofers. One that we see a lot used a lot in outdoor or in just side-by-sides is our shallow woofers, so the Comp RTs and the L7Ts.
Okay.
And we see those used, we actually do use those a lot. So we can do a Comp R10 or CWR10. Do seal box. We see these used a lot in side-by-sides. Obviously, this is way more airspace than we typically see, but
Exactly.
it still, we see our response curve, give us an idea of what area it's going to take up, and how changing, box size changes tuning.
And obviously, as I'm looking at here, you had the ability to go change power. So I'm assuming that's just defaulting to the RMS power rating of the woofer.
Just defaults to the rated RMS of the woofer,
Okay.
or how much power we want to be applied. But you can always change that, and it'll typically change the response of the graph. It'll change what we see in SPL output.
Gotcha.
Which, right there.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So this gives us a guess of what it's going to do as far as output goes.
Gotcha. So a relative response curve and then a relative idea as far as output based on that power level.
Exactly.
And then I saw you going over to wood design. So going over there, what does that do for us?
So that'll show us an idea of what the box should look like. It doesn't give us woofer, but it gives us an idea. That's a little bit off. But it gives us an idea of what our box is going to, how much room it's going to take up overall. So this is saying total volume is 1.9 after woofer displacement and what we set the internal airspace as.
So question on this, when you guys are designing this up for someone who does a call-in, do you just give them this information over the phone, or do you guys have the ability to email, fax, or do anything like that with it?
We can email it because it will give us a cut sheet.
Okay.
So we can, typically to open a TermPro file, you have to have TermPro. So typically we can just take screenshots.
Okay.
And that'll give us, our top and bottom panels, front and back, and our sides. And with a wood design, we can take away visibility so that we can still see, what the inside of the box is going to look like.
That is cool. So you've got the ability here to, on the fly with people on the phone, you can design up a box, you can change the volumes, you can play with the tuning, play with the power, and when you get something that looks realistic for their needs, you can, like you said, screenshot or however, you can get
screenshot,
them.
and we can, with give them what our external dimensions need to be, and then click over to Fabrication and give them a few screenshots of what our cut sheet needs to be.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
JW, if you've been watching, are there any, if you guys have got some good questions that you'd like to ask Peter about, whether it's box design or tech support or something that happens in customer service, we would love for you to throw those questions in the feed and throw them up there. Mothra B17, show how you can change the wood pattern. Do you know how you can change the wood pattern? Well, let's go back to the beautiful beam footage, Ernie. Hold on a second. Bring it up, Ernie.
So if it's under, if I could click on it.
Oh, there you go.
So we can change it. You can change your access points, bar graphs. You can change your plot colors under when you're looking at the response curves.
Okay.
But you can't change, the color of the wood and what material you want to use as well.
So you can, well, it's got a lot of preloaded dimensions there.
Yeah, so 1 inch, 3/8, we can change it to plywood, but you can change the, you can also change your coverings.
Oh, this ought to be good. Particle board with aluminum.
There we go.
Nice. So it's kind of looks like plywood, but it's got an aluminum sheen to it. Check it out. That's pretty cool. So after using both programs, obviously, you've given the choice, you find that TermPro on a daily basis, as far as answering phone calls, dealing with people.
Yeah,
on a daily
it's much
basis,
quicker. It's much easier,
quicker.
more user friendly. It's just quicker to use.
I wonder. Keep going. What I'm wondering is,
and this one does give us a render, an idea of what the box should look like.
Okay.
Versus where FineBox does not.
so you do get an idea of that right there.
Yes.
So L7, I want to see, let's look at an L7 T104. Design that one up. Let's build a box for that.
Ported or sealed?
We need to get rid of, just do whatever you want. I don't care, vented, sealed.
Yeah,
It's your show, I'm just here for the ride.
We'll do a single reflex band pass.
Perfect.
Let's do one woofer. So typically, even with the shallow mount subs, we usually still end up about the same size as a full-size box.
Okay.
Or same size we would with a full-size sub, just because try to make it smaller, we just lose so much output.
Got it.
But as far as ported boxes go, it'll also show us our power and our display woofer movement.
So what you're looking at here in the pink line, this is actually the woofer,
The excursion.
the excursion of the driver, frequency versus, obviously you get down to here and excursion goes way off the charts, you get below the tuning frequency.
Yep. And it does always want to try to tune it super low, so we can't always bring that back up. And then as far as vent design, it does give you multiple options. We can do a flange like arrow port,
Okay.
a round port, or a rectangle slot port.
Well, this is an awesome tool that we have at our disposal, and we get to use this every day to help people design whatever to fit their vehicle, get their woofer to sound the best way it can in their car. This is really cool.
Yeah. And it does show us port velocity.
Now, port velocity, again, I'm leading the witness. Port velocity basically is how fast the air is moving in the port back and forth. It's its speed.
Yeah.
Is there a speed you want to avoid?
Anything over 15 meters a second.
And if you're faster than 15 meters per second,
You'll hear it.
Chuffing, huffing, port noise, everyone calls it. So
Chugga,
15
chugga.
meters per second. And you can actually, obviously you're looking at this here, and this is the speed.
And this is in Mach, but I'm not sure what the exact conversion is, but I've built a couple boxes out of this program, and with this staying in the green is good to go.
You're fine.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's the kind of thing. 15 meters per second is kind of what I've always been shown as kind of like the industry standard. Try to stay that or less, and you won't have to worry about port noise or things like that in a box design.
Yeah, but even if we end up having to use, just because of how big our box is or anything like that, if we have to use small ports, like round ports, typically an arrow port's going to help resolve some of that.